Good afternoon, everyone. I am Vasundhara, and on behalf of Shine.com, I welcome all of you to Shine HR Live. Let's have a look at Shine business last year.
Susannica, you made it. Pfizer.
Topic for today's discussion is future of upskilling and reskilling. The format of the event is our panelists will share inputs on the topic, 5 minutes each, which will be followed by a Q&A session with the audience. I would request all the attendees to keep posting questions in Q&A segment, and our speakers will answer your questions in some time. I would like to introduce our panelists for today now. Ms. Shikha Gupta, Talent Acquisition and HR Leader, Winwire Technologies. Mr. Colin Mendes, Head of Human Resources, Voltas Beko. Mr. Kaushik Chakraborty, Head of Human Resource, Savills. Ms. Vasudhara Srivastav, Senior Vice President, Human Resource Excellence. Ms. Aparna Kaul, L&D Head at Sopra Steria. Mr. Jagmohan S. Rishi, Associate Vice President, Talent Development, Business Excellence and Digital Strategy, Walkart India Limited. I welcome all of you as a panelist today. It is an honor to have you all here as a panelist. Reskilling is the process of learning new skills so you can do a different job, or a training of people to do a different job, and upskilling is a process of learning new skills or of teaching workers new skills. It is always said that these two things help in bridging the gap of skill development in our country, but earlier not all people used to focus on it. The need for these was high only among a particular segment of people. But this but with the adverse effect of COVID-19 in everyone's life, suddenly everyone's focus shifted to getting them upskilled or reskilled. The companies also started encouraging their employees to learn a new skill. The demand of upskilling and reskilling grows exponentially. But the question is, what has changed? Why did the need to upskill ourselves rise to this extent, and how useful it is? Will the top HR leaders give preference to such candidates, or is it just because the changing needs of the companies? I would hand over to the panelists today. I would request you people to please initiate the discussion by sharing your opening note on the topic. Mr. Jagmohan Singh, we can start with you.
Thank you very much, Vasudha, for making me an opening batsman. And I'm sure this game is going to be a great one, like a 2020 match. So thank you very much, audience and my co-panelists for being here. In fact, this topic has been discussed right from the time, 2 months down the line into pandemic. Because pandemic, few days back only, there was a Guru Purnima and there was a meme going on that who has been the best guru. I think COVID has been the best guru which has taught us in a hard way. And many of the things which many of the corporates were reluctant to go into, the COVID has taught them to learn in a difficult manner. Just before pandemic, I had authored a book called Are You a Digital Dinosaur? I don't know whether it is visible to you or not. Let me see if you can see it this way. Okay. So this was the book which I had authored, and it clearly talked about those things which many of the corporates need to change because of digitization. And one of the biggest, aspect which corporates and today's entrepreneurs or SMEs, they need to learn is to digitize themselves as well as their systems and processes. It should not happen that it should be person dependent. It should be system dependent. And that is exactly what our employees need to be reskilled. Number one on digital skills, and number two, I think I will not say number two, but it is a foundation part on growth mindset. If a person is having a growth mindset, the person can get into the learning phase. Those people who are getting into fixed mindset, they are very, very happy in the comfort zone. Let them be happy, but they will never grow in their lives. So that is where exactly my take is. Let me close in this particular manner that since I started with that, what we had done was we had initiated our special sessions which was earlier 8-hour session. Now we moved to micro learning part. We made video based learnings. So those aspects, it was learning for us. But at the same time, we also created those mini modules, mini certifications for our employees to learn on digitization, to learn how to conduct a virtual meeting, learn on a basic aspects of Excel or advanced Excel or PowerPoint presentation, or giving a virtual presentation to the customers. Since we are from the healthcare field, our sales guys, they engage with the doctors, the healthcare people, and it is very difficult to engage with them during our pandemic times. So that is what we did, and we trained them on virtual engagement through a platform, through virtual call, through WhatsApp call, or through an email, which is again very, very difficult to unlearn and relearn, particularly in the virtual world. And that's exactly what we attempted it, and touch wood, it is paying results to us. I will close with these 10 skills which are very, very important from my book, that top 10 digital people services technology trend. Number one, future proofing our employees, because the technology is changing very fast. Gamification is another one. Then of course, Internet of Things we should include in our systems in HR department or even in marketing also. Learning and development for the global teams. Feedback tools are very much in demand. We should get as many feedback tools. It can be a fun also to get feedback tools. For example, there is Kahoot, there is PV, there is a Mentimeter and other aspects. Use of SMAC, not the inhalation one, but social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. So these are some of the things which are very, very important. People analytics is a must one, which if they can learn something about analytics, it's good. Remote management or virtual engagement of employees is very, very important. Intelligent self-serving tools, and of course, use of videos, AR, VR, while recruiting, as well as engaging the employees as well as customers. So with this, I think I will close my opening pitch. With this, I hand it over to Miss Aparna Kaul. Maybe I request her to take it over.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jagmohan. Unfortunately, I had a technical glitch and I joined in late, but I did, hear the part where you were talking a lot about gamification and tools for engagement, which I think is the name of the game these days, especially when you are talking to a laptop screen most of the time, and the human connect and interaction has gone down drastically. I think what I would like to share in the beginning is that when I look back, because I'm not an HR professional by qualification, I'm an HR professional by choice. So I'm a BTech computer science graduate and I've worked in delivery for about 10 years, and that's when I made the switch to HR. Even when I was in delivery, I used to feel that, when I look back at what I learned in college, I used to feel that, oh dear college, you taught me everything I wish I would forget. That was my feeling, I had, because, what you learn, especially in your curriculum and when you're going through programs, um, it is so much of information download, and when you actually contextualize it and put it in use, you realize that there's so much of probably localization or generalization sometimes that you have to do. And on top of it, you put that mix of digital learning where learners are remote, there is no human touch, that makes it, all the more difficult. I also agree completely with you that probably what is a challenge for most of the L&D practitioners today is not the aspect of learning, it is the aspect of unlearning. What you need to probably do away with so that you acquire the skills. So probably looking at the topic for the day, which is reskilling and upskilling, I think the third dimension to it is definitely unlearning. So it is definitely learning, unlearning, upskilling, and reskilling. And coming to talk of it in the context that we are in at Sopra Steria India, we are an IT services company. We also have some product arms, which is Sopra Banking, and then we have Aeroline verticals, and then we have Axway. What I've realized is that technology changes at such a pace that the only thing as an L&D person I focus on building is the learning mindset, because once that is developed, the smart IT people or whatever professional sphere we are in, people who work in that domain, they do find resources. It's just the mindset that we have to focus on. So with that, I would like to say that innovation, creativity, and an ability to solve real life problems, I think that remains the most prized skills in today's economy. And if we can somewhere connect it with the remote engagement, whether it is with tools or the fact that the facilitators can get that engagement going, I think that is the way forward. So that is what I would like to share at this point in time. And I'm really sorry for joining late. Technology acts up precisely at the point when you expect it to work. So apologies
No
for
issues. That is what Dilbert's principle is. So can I request Colin, please come forward.
Thank you, Jagmohan. And in fact, Aparna prompted me when she spoke about reskilling, upskilling, and unlearning. I think new learning is also one more that I would like to add to what what was just been spoken. And I think that's so very significant. We've all spoken, and Jagmohan, you very beautifully articulated how COVID has been our super guru really during this time. And I think that has forced organizations across to really, move on to the digitization bandwagon, and this has actually led to the need for differentiating of talent, and that's, where we've actually, where digitization has actually forced organizations like all of us to really look at our entire talent mix that we have, redefine what is the talent that we want to have in the future, how our organizations need to be structured, and so on and so forth. And today I want to really specify and emphasize on really technology change. And this is a constant phenomena we all agree on. It's been a constant change that actually has started. It's certainly got accelerated and more emphasized during this pandemic. And today there has been a tremendous business opportunity that really technology has brought in. Look at e-commerce for that matter. Look at various new businesses that have actually managed to spring up with the advent of technology that actually has made the customer right at the top and has brought better experience to everyone. Yeah. And today, it's also the organization's ability to upskill, to expand the skill sets that are there, that will actually prove to be a significant competitive advantage, not only today, but for a longer period of time. And to my mind, I would like to say that, the cost, even if you look at it, even from a replacement point of view, it makes a whole lot of bunch of sense that, we invest in talent, that we are able to upskill and we are able to reskill, and then we are able to build, to enforce unlearning and actually induce new learning. And that's what I would really talk about. To my mind, I think there are significant benefits, and I'm sure all my co-panelists will talk about it. But I think one of the biggest benefit that I have personally seen is the whole aspect of bringing in a new inch of life to the employee. Yeah, and that is today made the biggest change. And I'll talk of, besides that, it helps on believing and giving every employee and employer the aspect of retaining people. Yeah, no one really wants to work with a company that really does not invest. And I represent a group that advocates a lot about training and retention of people through constant skill and constant career development. And I want to just share in a moment, a couple of months back, we launched a certification program for all our diploma engineer trainees who are working at our factory in Sanand. We call this program Samarthya, okay, which is basically learning together. Yeah, and here we actually got a bunch of our trainees together, where after completing 1 year of hardcore technical training, we really focused on the soft skill aspect. Yeah, we are covering around 10 to 12 topics every month for all of them. Ranging from goal setting to communication to time, grooming, ethics, and so on, etiquettes in meeting, working in teams, and so on and so forth, and dealing with difficult situations, and also helping build leadership skills. To my mind, I think I have locked these employees with me for the next 1 year for sure, because they know that every month there is something new happening for them. They know that every month there's some benefit that they see for each other. So I think retention, to my mind, coupled with, of course, boosting their entire morale. Today they look forward. They look forward for every session because they see that this is something that, the company is really doing that. And how does it help the customer? Today, you have employees that are there with you. You have happy employees. You have engaged employees. That works towards bringing stronger customer satisfaction. And to a very large extent, you will have better employees, better customers that will stay with you for a longer period of time. And this will also indirectly create an opportunity for attracting new people who are coming into the workforce. This will build opportunities for new employees. They will become brand ambassadors for you and talk to you that, hey, this is a company that really cares for you. Yeah. So if I were to quickly summarize, and I know we are constrained of time, but I think if I were to quickly summarize, reskilling and upskilling will really open new doors to new roles. Yeah, that's very important. The second, of course, it will future-proof your organization against disruption like what we have all experienced. The third is about, focusing on, more and more stronger collaboration with people rather than working in isolation, which most of us are during this time. And I think the most important aspect is on focusing on boosting productivity, ensuring you're getting more bang for the buck, more money for what you're investing into. And of course, this will indirectly bring your organization to be far more successful as you go along. So that's a little bit from my side, which I wanted to quickly summarize to talk about, reskilling, upskilling, unlearning, and certainly learning the new. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thank you, Colin. In fact, learning the new is something which is good because everybody is learning something new. We have a question on our Zoom screen. What have you learned something new today? So, because Zoom is adding features on everyday basis, just like Facebook is adding it.
Absolutely. In fact, Jagmohan, I just want to make a quick mention here. Most of the senior citizens have learned digital technology during this time because this is the only technology that's enabled them to be in touch with everyone that's all around, to be in touch with their loved ones. So yeah.
Absolutely. Just reminded me, I'll just take a minute of this. My father, he is ex-army officer. He was very excited that, there were 200 officers of my Assam regiment and we did a Zoom meeting for 2 hours. He was excitedly telling me, he said, you keep on sitting on this idiot thing. But we had, we were also there. As if, I said, I'm tired of Zoom and you're enjoying Zoom.
So that's learning the new. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Colin. And let me request Shikha Gupta to please share her thoughts as an opening remarks kind of thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jagmohan. I think already so much has been said. Now I am wondering what more can I add to this knowledge powerhouse which is in front of me. Reskilling, upskilling, unlearning, and new learning. I would add a fifth dimension to this, saying cross-skilling. Right? That's something that we as an organization at Winwire Technologies are also focusing. See, pre-COVID, what was the talent strategy? That you need somebody, there's a requirement from a customer, you need to hire a certain set of people, just go hire. We don't look at our internal talent pool as much as what we are doing today. Can we upskill, reskill, or cross-skill? Go to the market, get the right talent who are 90% or 100% customer fit or project fit. Who's going to waste time in skilling people and reskilling people, right? Plus, there is a delivery, right? There's a customer experience, there is an impact. So that's how we were operating, I think, till about a year back. But now, with the pandemic, right, hiring stagnation, talent pool scarcity, offer declines going up, right? With all of that, we have now started to think, okay, we have this talent pool available with us. What can we do to make them better? Use it as a retention strategy, use it as a learning ground for people. I think all the companies, not only mine, everybody on the screen here is trying different means to get people to adapt digital skills, cognitive behaviors, social skills, all of that stuff. Because the pandemic has also caused enough of stress, anxiety, death, fear in people, right? And the ability, like Colin and some of you rightly pointed out, the human connect is missing. We're all on Zoom every single day, Microsoft Teams, talking to the larger crowd. So those skills which actually are very important for human development, workforce development, right? Well-being, mental health have also become all of a sudden very important. They weren't in the picture till about a year back. But yes, reskilling, upskilling, learning, unlearning, and cross-skilling. If I have a resource who's 60% there, can I not upskill the person or cross-skill the person by the last 40% and make him a good 100% fit for a customer requirement? I think that is what we have largely started looking at. And it also boosts, employee morale, right? People are happy, people are learning. People don't have to go to naukri.com or monster.com or shine.com as much as they were going, because they are seeing these opportunities within their respective organizations, right? So what are we creating? We are creating a good learning culture. We are creating a high morale boost kind of an organization. And I think we should continue to do that. And that will be the way forward. In fact, I was reading somewhere about a week back, there's a recent McKinsey survey, global McKinsey survey, which said 85% or 87% of the executives found that reskilling or skilling is the need of the hour. There is a skill gap, right, which has been caused by this technology disruption, which all of you highlighted. And to come back to your point, Mohan, even my elders, as in grandparents, uncles and aunties, everybody has learned how to use WhatsApp, how to play games on iPad, because the need to connect with humans, do social gatherings, right, meet people has drastically come down. The fear of corona is so much. Now people are talking about the third wave. Even the senior citizen generation or a lot of other generations have started using these digital tools, which they weren't. They were just a phone call people or, that email writing person. Now everybody's on WhatsApp, irrespective of the age group. I think that is something beautiful. It's becoming a global digital village where all of us are connected. And maybe there is more love, there is more camaraderie, because some of the people who weren't on these digital platforms or tools, right, were so disconnected. Oh, did you see my picture? Oh, did you see I posted something? Not everybody's hooked onto it. So I think it's created, that is the blessing of COVID. It's created more love, more friendship, more unity amongst family members. Though, yes, there is a physical disconnect. And at the org level, yes, we will continue to do things in the space of reskilling, upskilling, because talent scarcity continues, right? We say there are too many people available in the market, right? But then actually, when you need people to join your project, join your organization, you never know, there are these last minute hiccups where people decide to take the other route, right? And then you're left stranded somewhere. So a plan B, if not as a plan B, at least as a plan B, every organization is looking at or should look at this model. I think that's how I would put it across. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ika. In fact, absolutely right that we need to have a multi-skilled force, and that this is the best time when people have joined Coursera's and Udemy's and other things, and they have got certifications in it.
And God bless these online learning platforms,
absolutely.
right? Upgrade, Coursera, Udemy, so many of them. And God bless them. Some of these are also offering, free courses, discounted courses, just to enable that culture of learning. Nobody is devoid. Everybody can afford, and it's a great means. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, definitely. It is there. Digital definitely has been made people isolated. And of course, man is a social animal. I mean, let me create a controversy over here. Men are a social animal in the evening when they go to pubs. Women are social animal 24/7. Okay, so let me request Kaushik Chakravarti ji to please come forward and share his thoughts about reskilling, cross-skilling, new learning, another thing.
Thank you. As pointed out by Shikha, now I'm, after all the sharing that has happened by 4 esteemed panelists, I'm not sure how much more will I be able to add to this topic. But yeah, definitely, I think one thing which has come out into the forefront out of the conversation that we just had, and which is otherwise also is being talked about everywhere, which is the pre-COVID and the post-COVID era. And that's basically what we are trying to say. It will probably look different. There are a lot of ways of doing business is going to change. A lot of industries are going to function very differently. A lot of functions, a lot of job roles, will call for different kind of skill sets than what it is currently. A particular job role was believed to have certain skill sets, but now there is a change. There's a shift, which is likely to happen. And that's where the struggle is. And that's the reason we all are talking about upskilling, reskilling, and cross-skilling. Now, to me, what I personally feel, and I'll probably not touch upon many of the areas that the esteemed panelists have already spoken about, but in this era of change of a nature which was not predicted, not even thought of 1.5 years back, actually called for a huge amount of shift. And organizations have gone through shifts which then probably would have taken a decade to go through. And many of it were very positive shifts. The pandemic, though we believe that it has really hit hard upon businesses, revenues, but then it had a very it was not a very balanced impact that it had on different industries. Some industry actually benefited hugely, including organizations like Zoom. Okay, so where we all are in the platform we all are in. Now, healthcare, pharma, online education we spoke about, online retail. There are industries where we have seen a huge amount of revenue upgradation. We have seen a lot of demand, a lot of positive changes in many of these industries. Now, my question is, I think, what went missing, specifically in India, and we are hearing that a lot has happened in many countries. There is not much of a industry collaboration that we have seen, in terms of cross-skilling, which is what I think Shikha pointed out. But this cross-skilling didn't happen across industry. I think that's something we need to, happen very quickly. For example, when I say cross-skilling, what do I mean? Say the hospitality industry, the hotel and hospitality industry. Definitely, it's one industry which has suffered majorly. And there was a huge shortage of staff in the healthcare industry. Okay, now, many of the skill sets which were available in the hotel and hospitality industry were almost 40-50%, they're almost 40-50% there when it comes to the skill sets which is required in the healthcare industry. Now, have we seen any kind of, there was a lot of layoffs that happened. Have we seen any kind of effort in terms of collaboration where, you walk on, the gap of that 30-40% which was required and trying to get them employment in an industry, where there was a huge shortage of people? We haven't really seen much. Okay, so probably, that is the kind of cross-skilling that we need to see happening in, overall in the industry, inter-industry collaboration, what we call of. There are, I'll not take too much of time, but there are, I was talking the other day, and this example I'm just trying to give because that will reflect in some way, we all are in different industry. In some way, probably this reflection has happened, in most of the industry. Now, example, we used to see, you go to a hospital, you go to a doctor, you'll always see that, medical representatives were, seen everywhere, right? In the healthcare industry, which was growing and because of the whole demand which was there, during the COVID time, what happened to this medical representatives? Their job was very critical at that point of time. Now, most of them shifted from, the in-person demonstration to online demonstration, right? There's a whole shift that happened. That immediately called for a huge amount of upskilling in that industry. Now, as whatever is normal, the new norm, as the post-COVID era comes in, will we see a complete shift of this set of this job role? Will again go back to its original shape? Maybe not fully. People are still saying that most of the jobs that medical representatives used to do, at least 50 to 60% of it will go online. Now there's a huge amount of upskilling that is required in that industry, which has a lot of dependency when it comes to growth and when it comes to selling, when it comes to revenue on these medical representatives. I'm just giving one example. Earlier, industry like us, where we used to have a major clients, sitting out of US, sitting out of any of the European countries, looking for their requirements in India, we had to constantly look at building our relationship with our clients, in the Western world. And for one meeting, I remember, one critical meeting, used to book that meeting 2 months in advance, and probably used to get a half an hour time with a critical client. I used to travel all the way to US for that meeting. Now, many of these meetings have become much more easier to happen. What I've been constantly hearing in our industry is that it is much easier now to get time out of many of these clients. And people have realized, and the normalcy comes back. Will those travel happen? For meeting that one client for half an hour, traveling all the way for those 16 hours to meet that client? Maybe not. So there's a lot of changes which will anyhow happen in the way organizations are going to function. And since everybody have spoken about their own organization, so I'll take my moment to talk about what we have done as an organization. Right in the beginning, as soon as the lockdown came in, we launched something called, and it started happening from week 1, something called lockdown learnings. We identified areas which people needed to be trained. And you won't believe it, the entire lockdown period, everybody knew that 4 o'clock every day there'll be a lockdown learning session. Okay, and this was critically, looking into the areas which were identified important and critical for the changing period. We realized the changing times, and what we actually did was, in the middle of the pandemic last year, post-lockdown, we did an exhaustive TNA. And to find out, what is that employees are looking, and it had a both element in terms of interview as well as questionnaire. And what actually the training plan that we had, in a very surprising way, we saw a shift in terms of, what is the requirement, the training requirement that has been identified, that got identified for 2021. And, which was clearly, it gave up some of the things that we're talking about. Employees also understand, people also understand where and what are the areas that they need to get skilled in. So I think, what is very important is a scientific approach, in terms of understanding your industry, understanding your business, and what are the areas, what are the skills that is required in the new world. That will be very important. And that's what we tried doing. And that's, what we are focusing on, things like presentations, the presentation that we are making. A major presentation, which is for us, is a RFP presentation, will call for a very different kind of tools, different kinds of online setting than a one-on-one interaction happening with the client. So those requirements, and that calls for different kind of training. And that's what we tried doing, various kinds of presentation skills training. Actually, we did exhaustive rounds of, presentation skills training on the virtual media. Okay, so we started focusing on identifying the needs and, clearly upskilling people accordingly. But to my point, I think what is missing today is inter-industry collaboration, when it comes to, cross-skilling that we're talking of. Reskilling is very important. There is a world which is going to look very different 1 or 2 years down the line. Something which we probably thought will take a decade or maybe a couple of decades has happened in a couple of years, thanks to COVID. And all of us need to be ready for it. That's it from my side.
Thanks, Kaushik. I think you have given a new dimension to L&D. That is, L&D learning means lockdown learning kind of thing. So that is a good one. And definitely across industries, collaboration is very much required. Since I come from Wockhardt, it's a pharmaceutical company, and we are dealing with healthcare. So I can show you that there has been because of COVID, there has been a forced upskilling or upgradation of the medical representatives who were earlier just, parrot detailers kind of thing, parrot communicators. But now they are getting into engagement with digital tools, and the hiring is also improved compared to the quality of which was earlier. So definitely COVID has definitely given some kind of positives for the industry, because healthcare industry was a dinosaur industry with respect to digitization. So it got a kick in the butt because of COVID. So I think Vasundhara ji is waiting. Vasundhara ji, please share your thoughts on upskilling, reskilling, and the list is becoming longer and longer. So I'll stop over here.
Thank you so much. And good evening, everyone. And it's been a great session. I was hearing everybody's thoughts and very insightful. I work for a technology company and a consulting company. It's got best of both worlds in it by the name of Exceedance. And I think two facts which I would like to bring forth here are, one, that all business, irrespective of which vertical we are in, are powered by the people who work for it. And the second part is that with the current world, business transformation has become synonym to business survival. And that is where the reskilling, upskilling, learning, unlearning, new learning, everything comes in. Just taking an example of business transformation, at every stage of business, the skills required are very different. And to keep our people relevant, if we don't keep reskilling them, teaching them new skills, they will not be relevant. And I don't think we would like to lose our committed workforce who are there with us from the beginning. And the second aspect of it is, people first strategy. When we talk of it, there is also a reality which Shikha has touched base on, the war for talent. Every person in our organization wants career growth. And that can only happen if we upskill our workforce. So reskilling and upskilling definitely are both very, very essential for survival of any organization. The third aspect, if I would like to touch upon, and we've all talked about the new normal and what pandemic has done to us. Jaisa, you just said, Jagmohan ji, that suddenly from maybe the era of 2010, we were transported to 2030 in a year and a half, where we used to talk about, work from home, as an entitlement, or rather as a benefit to people. It suddenly became the only way to do business. So there's been such a dramatic change. Human skills with digital technology going hand in hand together has been, I think, the biggest learning that all of us have had. And I don't know whether we can categorize it in upskilling or reskilling, but without digitization and automation and knowing technology, I think there is no future for workforce. And the second aspect of it is that as HR professionals and as, whether it's industry or academia, we need to look at and sort of imagine, forecast what is the requirement of future workforce. Like the 10 rules you spoke about, I absolutely, I'm so aligned to it, because if we can't imagine what even 2 years down the line our requirement is going to be, I think then the reskilling and upskilling will not be aligned to the business growth. So overall, I think that what we are doing is building talent for ourselves. That is a way for future. Like I spoke about war for talent, keeping people engaged by giving them more and more money is not a good survival technique. So we have very, very specifically focused on building the talent, where we are upskilling and reskilling. Reskilling, like I think Aparna said that about college, when you come out of campus and when you step into the workforce and the work, you realize ye kya seekh ke hum aaye, ya kuch bhi seekh ke hum aaye ki nahi. I'm sorry, I'm also studied in India and in colleges here, but that's the reality. So we start with upskilling and we start with reskilling from the very first day of our people who join us. That is the way to sustain. We build our talent, and yes, they are there for us for some time, but we are doing okay with that. So in summary, I think bite-sized learnings and peer learning is the way for future for us. And I agree, skilling. Let me see if I've got all of them right. Reskilling, upskilling, cross-skilling, and new learning, right? Did I miss anything?
Very good, very good, very good.
And
a cross-skilling collaboration.
Yes. Thank you.
Now equation is sin theta plus cos theta is equal to tan theta. Please solve this also now.
Oh, I think I'll go off my video now.
So that question was primarily for Aparna. Good, good. Thank you very much, everybody, for sharing your thoughts. I think I will request the participants to please share their questions. We have got 4 questions as of now. But at the same time, I must say that, everybody has shared a common theme here that, one should keep learning and keep adjusting to the change. One thing what COVID has taught us is that, live and let live. If you want to live, you make sure your neighbors are vaccinated. Okay. So that is very, very important what COVID has told you. So if there is no competition in this, that I am getting vaccinated. So it is important that I ensure that not only I get vaccinated, but even my employees get vaccinated. The people working at home are getting vaccinated. My driver is vaccinated. So we have to create a healthy ecosystem. Similarly, one thing which is coming very clearly is that by upskilling yourself only, you cannot take your company forward. You have to upskill your employees, your co-workers, so that they take your company forward. That is what I think one theme which COVID has taught. I hope everybody agrees on that.
Yes.
So let me
Just to add one point to that, Jagmohanji, forget the rest of the world. Look at the 6 of us over here, right? As HR leaders, we have learned how to hire completely online, virtually hire, virtually onboard, do all the employee engagement activities online, all of L&D online. I think we ourselves have spent enough time and effort in finding new tricks, new techniques, new ways to carry our own responsibilities for our organization. So I think hats off to all of us as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Kudos to all of you, of course, for this thing. I like to share one example at Zoom. We had at WorkHard started 1 year back. That was an activity not from anything else, but for the cost saving activity, what Kaushik was talking about. Because our sales managers, they were running helter-skelter in the first week and the last week to catch sales and review meetings. And we saved in the range of around almost 25 CR over a period of time, just because of Zoom meeting. And everybody was already, on a better learning curve. Secondly, we had learning management system called WGenie. So that also helped us during pandemic. In fact, one of the small pharma companies, they approached me. They said, we want to install LMS tomorrow. I said, it is not a WhatsApp that you can install a LMS in your company. So anyway, that was on a lighter side. Let me ask this first question. Do you think upskilling will be prioritized in the future more than it is prioritized now? Or will the situation determine whether its importance increases or not? It is asked by an anonymous attendee. So please, who would like to take it forward?
So maybe I can start and then everybody else can pitch in. Yeah.
Please.
So how do I address? I'll say, dear anonymous attendee, thank you for the question. I think I have a slightly contrary view. I think COVID has not drastically changed the future, to be very honest. It has just accelerated the pace at which we'll reach that future. The future in any way was going to be digital, AI enabled, machine interaction, and a lot of stuff driven to e-commerce and online. That's why when Jagmohan said that they already had invested in something like Zoom, I realized that we'd also done that with Microsoft Teams. We'd moved away from Skype. We'd started working a lot with the MS Teams suite of products. So the basic infrastructure was already in place because we were foreseeing that this is where the future is going to be. However, what COVID did was what we were thinking will happen in 10 years probably happened overnight. So to cut the long story short, I think upskilling is definitely a priority with some selectivity for reskilling as well. It's not that it has become a priority now or its importance will increase or decrease. The importance is only going to increase. We just have to realize that COVID has accelerated the pace for us. So the focus is definitely there going forward. We are seeing that companies are moving online, and not only companies, small businesses. If you look at Facebook these days, the sellers doing Facebook lives is exploding like anything, because small business owners can't do it via their small shops. So they are finding avenues to do it. Platforms like Meesho, they've sprung up within weeks. WhatsApp now has a shopping catalog and WhatsApp payments embedded in it. We have a company like DotPay, which has a WhatsApp based payment platform. So it's not only for IT. And yeah, we see that boom in IT and ITES because these are the people who are developing those. So the boom and the shift is going to happen in every industry. And that is why reskilling becomes important. I think somebody brought out this thing that, people who were in the medical representatives and how they had to make a shift to hospitality. I think that's also a mindset shift. Leaders have to understand that you will not get 100% ready person. You will not get a plug and play person. Even if the person is 50-60% ready and has the learning aptitude, so rather than giving him or her a test on Java and .NET, probably lay more focus on learnability, ability, and ability to work in uncertainty, and that is going to be a more valuable thing going forward. Just to end, I would also like to say that as an L&D professional, my focus is on providing as many avenues to our people. So I try and create a bouquet that I can present to our employees. So whether they want to learn online, it should be there. Whether they want to learn in instructor-led sessions, that should be there. Whether they want to learn bite-size, there should be an option for there. Whether they want to learn by challenging each other. So we have an opportunity where we have a platform where people can battle each other for quizzes. So it should be there, and people are smart and intelligent enough to pick up what works best for them. So if I tell Jagmohan tomorrow that no, you have to do self learning, you have to do it on Udemy, it's not that that is what will work for him. He might find something else more useful. So upskilling, reskilling is definitely important. It has accelerated, and what we have to make sure is that people have avenues to do it, because everybody doesn't know. Everybody doesn't know what he or she doesn't know. To make it very short and simple, that's my take on it.
Thanks, Suparna. So we have 3 more questions. So maybe one speaker can take up one question each in view of time, which is left. About 8 minutes are left over here. So Mahabala has asked this question. Is it not true that with COVID, a lot of engineers from core engineering sector, like civil, mechanical, electrical, chemical, will reskill to IT sector coding, where CTC is much higher and jobs are raining? Who would like to answer this question, particularly from the IT sector can answer this question?
Okay, so I'm from the other sector, from the manufacturing sector, but I think if Shikha wants to take this.
I can answer that.
Yeah, sure.
Sure, thanks, Pawan. So, Jagmohan ji, for me, forget, civil, mechanical, or any other stream, upskilling or reskilling to IT. Within IT itself, Bala, people are upskilling and reskilling. I am a Java resource, right? My Java project has come to an end. Let me learn SharePoint. Okay, I'm a SharePoint resource. The project is over. I need to do something else in life. Let me learn .NET. I'm just taking some examples, right? So the IT folks itself are reskilling, cross-skilling, and upskilling themselves to stay redundant in the market. Now, as far as the other streams are concerned, yes, obviously that will happen, but I don't know how effectively or how fast that will happen. But yes, people would want to stay relevant. People would want to have a career, would want to have jobs. If reskilling is not the way, right? What is the way forward? I think all these young engineers would not want to sit at home and wait for the dawn to happen again, Corona to go away. It's become a part of our lives, right? So yeah, those opportunities have to be made available by various organizations. As talent acquisition folks or as HR folks, we should be open to hiring such people, right? Also, right? Give them that opportunity to join us, to work with us, and then put them through some programs. Otherwise, the second option would be, yes, people go through these skilling or reskilling programs, right? And then look for different career opportunities. Whether the CTC is higher or not, I would not want to comment on that. But yes, to stay in the job market, to stay relevant, to make a livelihood, to make a career, it is very important that these guys should actually go down that path. I hope it answers Bala's question.
Hey, Jagmohan, if I can just make a quick mention on this, and this is more because I come from the other sector, and I would say that, while core sector has been a sector which most young engineers from mechanical, electrical, etc., have aspired for. But I want to just take a step back, and today I truly believe that today India is going to be the manufacturing hub. All right, it's while China was manufacturing hub for a very long time, India is now emerging to be a very large manufacturing hub, and I think that tells you the biggest story, that there will be an increasing demand for engineers in the core sector. Okay, there's going to be a lot of investment in infrastructure, which again says there's going to be a lot of engineers required in civil and so on and so forth. So I think that tells you in a very simple example that there is a huge demand for people in core sector. And I think that is where core of the learning will really take place. Choice is each individual's, whether it's a CTC or whether it's a fancy office, but the joy of making something from scratch to finish is a different joy. And that's what I would like to leave you with.
Beautifully said, Collins. And just to add to that, necessity is the mother of invention, right? Absolutely. I have seen people in my career groups or my network who have actually been into a job, had to take a break because that somebody became a mother and stuff like that. Started as an entrepreneur, right? Did that for 2 to 3 years. Once the child was big enough to start going to play school and all that, people got back to the job world. It's just that the constant need to create, to recreate, to learn, unlearn, relearn, all of that, to be constantly doing something is important, irrespective of the sector.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
Is the mother of invention. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So Kaushik, I have a question for you now by Sanchi Singhal. How organizations can create opportunities for upskilling of their own employees?
So, I think the word upskilling came up quite a few times in the first question as well. I just want to leave, one thought which is very critical, and Shikha also touched upon it. I think if you want to succeed in life, it is not that COVID has really given this new word upskilling. You need to constantly upskill yourself. You have to remain relevant, whichever is the field that you've chosen in life, whichever is your profession, you need to, you will be redundant, if you don't constantly upskill yourself. Okay, and upskilling has different meaning in different job roles and different functions. Now here, actually, what we are primarily talking of is that organizations need to put in an effort to upskill their employee base because of the changing times. And if this question is whether organizations are, I think the question is how organizations can create opportunities for upskilling of their own employees. Sanchi, who has asked this question. Sanchi, I think that's what we discussed. Most of the panelists touched upon how, and we all represent different industry, that how in every industry, there has been a constant endeavor, there's a constant effort in terms of identifying which are the different areas which need to be upskilled upon, depending on the industry that we are in. And today, every organization understand that if they want to succeed, they want to survive, they want to move to the next level as an organization, they need to ensure that they adapt to the changing times. And of course, it is becoming a technology-driven world to a very large extent, and COVID has probably, that's the biggest shift that we have seen because of COVID. So that is definitely something which most organizations are doing, and absolutely no doubt that any organization which is serious about the business that they are into, they are definitely looking for upskilling their employees.
Yeah, thanks, Kaushik. In fact,
if I can add just one bit to what Kaushik said, Sanchi, just to put it very simply, you have a new customer, you have a new project, you have a new requirement, new skill sets, right? Rather than going straight to the market and hiring talent, look inside first, look at your organization, look at your talent pool, see if you can find people who can cut the cake or who can make it, right? Rather than just going to the market and absorbing people. Give opportunity to your own employees first. Do that SWOT analysis. Will it work? Will it not work? Will upskilling work? If yes, great. Otherwise, yes. I mean, the other option is to go ahead and hire. Yeah. So that should be the talent strategy going forward. Yeah.
I think Shikha, you have connected for the next question also, but let me ask this question to Colin. That Colin, again, there's an anonymous attendee who's asked this question: how does one decide whether upskilling is required or reskilling is required?
Yeah, no, I think that's an interesting question. And I think the most important thing to decide whether it's upskilling or reskilling is to look at your organization context. Yeah, where is your organization? Where do you want where do you want to go? And do you want to buy? Do you want to borrow? Or what is your strategy that you want to do? Or do you want to reskill in that sense? So whichever is right for the organization is actually the stand that you would need to take, keeping in mind whether you want to immediately, and you also need to look at your situation in the market. Yeah, are you in a situation that you need to immediately produce results in the market? Then you probably don't have the time to upskill or reskill. Yeah, you probably need to buy from the market. Yeah, but I think today it's important that organizations continuously invest in upskilling, considering the fact there is a huge trajectory that organizations have to are taking place really with technology and with influx of automation that's happening, particularly in manufacturing. So there is a huge need to upskill from where people are. So that, to my mind, is going to be the key.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Vasundhara, we have time for one more round, or is it done?
So we are already running out of time.
Okay, fine. So maybe we can wrap it up with a 15 seconds shout out by each of the panelists. So what is your one word for future talent and upskilling, please, Vasundhara ji? One word, please.
That's difficult. Maybe transformation.
Transformation. Okay, Shikha ji.
Keep learning to stay relevant.
Keep learning to stay relevant. Aparna ji.
So for me, in a nutshell, staying relevant means to live, learn, train, upgrade, reskill, and upskill. So everything together.
Put together. Yes, Colin.
There's always one more thing to learn.
Wow, that's a good one. Kaushik.
To me, enjoy the journey, not the destination.
Yeah.
And for that, you need to constantly be upgrading yourself.
Absolutely. Well, my word is stay hungry, stay foolish. So, so that is what. Thank you very much, Shine, and thank you very much for all the panelists.
Thank you, everybody.
Your thoughts.
It was wonderful interacting with all of you.
Thank you, everyone. Really enjoyed the session.
Thank you.
On behalf of Shine.com, I would like to thank our panelists today. As mentioned by Sir, I would really appreciate if all of you will get connected on LinkedIn. Thanks everyone for being a wonderful audience and making this session so much interactive. We really loved the conversation. Recording of the webinar will be shared with all the attendees along with the feedback mail. Request you all to please share your feedback. Thanks everyone. This is Vasundhara signing off now.